Welcome to the slip. This is Slip and the Man, where we give you our opinions, our thoughts, our judgments, our funyuns, our whatever you want. Mitch, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling better than ever. How about yourself, Slip?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm been waiting for this. You know, I got this energy for Slip and the Man, and I hope everybody feels that too. You know what I'm saying? Goodness gracious, it's been good. No, I ain't cut the hair. I ain't cut the hair, people. It's just in a bun. It's just in a bun. But we got a lot on the plate. We got an NFL preview. We got
sir.
Super Bowl
Bowl.
NFL review, Super Bowl
Yep.
preview. We're gonna talk about who we got in the Super Bowl. And then we are going to talk about some MLB The Show news and give you that. And wrap it up with what the spread is on that game. Because we got to get people to good bets. But I got to ask you a question about the NFL season.
Yep.
Whose team was more supporting or most disappointing? Yours or mine?
Ooh, that's a tough question,
Let's be honest right here. Let's be vulnerable. Let's be honest. Was your team more of a disappointment, or was my team more of a disappointment? Because we're the top two most disappointing teams in the league, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's other ones out there, but for teams that were off to a good start, it felt like, and then just kind of like fell off at the end, definitely were the disappointing. Like they were there, and then just kind of wheels just fell off.
Yeah.
But I would say, oh man, I honestly think you guys had more talent on the offensive side. Even defense, you guys still had a lot of pieces too. But the secondary let you down, though, for sure. That was the biggest issue. But I would say, man, that's tough. I would say the Falcons, because you guys didn't make the playoffs. The Steelers still made the playoffs. So I would have to say the Falcons, but it's definitely close. I mean, Steelers just barely get by on that one. But, I mean, definitely Steelers losing like 4 in a row to go into the 5 in a row, actually, at the end of the season. So
I think it was the 6-3 start and then losing 4 straight, having the tiebreaker against the Bucks for the division in one of the, or if not the weakest division, which is why I would say that it is probably the Falcons. I think that the Steelers, which was disappointing, was the defense fell off. And you could kind of tell the defense started to fall apart when they played the Eagles, and the Eagles had the ball with 10 minutes left. Or, Steelers punted with a little over 10 minutes left.
Yep.
And the Eagles started on their own 3-yard line, and y'all didn't get the ball back.
Yep, that was the typical playing scared. Tomlin was playing in his fears. He always says don't play in your fears. He was playing in his fears that game. I mean, he did it multiple times this year, but that was a key moment of example of that situation. He's done it a lot recently too, and it's really frustrating. You see guys like Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell, man, they are not scared at all. I mean, they'll go on 4th down any chance they get. It's ridiculous.
Yes. And they push the limit. They say, I'm not going to be scared to fail. When I think it was both your coach and my coach, Raheem Morris, that went into midway in the season and said, I'm going to play not to fail. And what that got the Falcons was a 1 game below 500 record because they were too scared to take out Kirk Cousins. And what that got you is a team that couldn't be aggressive on offense. And probably one of the biggest reasons why your defense fell apart is because they're on the damn field the whole time.
Yeah. It's a recipe for disaster every time, no matter how good your defense is, because the defense was playing really well for first half of the season. I mean, they were holding teams within like 17 points per game or so, and which is definitely being winnable every time in the NFL. But when you're out there, like you said, you get wearing down, no matter who it is.
Absolutely. And that's something that's going to be tough, and that's something that both of our teams are going to have to change going into that going into this next season. And we're so far away. We aren't even past the Super Bowl. We aren't even past free agency. We got a long ways to go. However, both of our teams have to look itself in the mirror and say, what is actually going to change for, honestly, you and me to be happy? I mean, that's what it honestly comes down to. What are they going to change for us to be happy? Because where they are playing at right now is not good enough.
Yep.
And the thing is that both the teams have talent. Both the teams have enough talent not only to make the playoffs, but at least win one or two games in the playoffs. Hell, if the Commanders can make it into the NFC Championship game,
Yeah.
and what did the Texans win a playoff game?
Yeah, they beat the Chargers.
And if the Texans can win a playoff game, I think both of our teams have enough talent to do so as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and you look at the Commanders as a good example. And I saw a stat where Jaden Daniels, the first rookie quarter, like he joined rookie quarterbacks to make it to
Mm-hmm.
the championship game with like Joe
Yeah.
Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, and I think Mark Sanchez was on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all their defenses, like Mark Sanchez, Flacco, everyone besides Jaden Daniels, defense was in like the top 5 or even like top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaden Daniels was actually 18th. So that just shows you how much was on his shoulders this
Yeah.
season. And even Ben
Yeah.
Roethlisberger just mentioned, like I think today, how much more impressive of a rookie season
Mm-hmm.
that Jaden Daniels had over his, because
Yeah.
Ben had the defense, had a running game. He was just learning and lucked out. He had good people around him to
Mm-hmm.
the support group, supporting cast.
Yeah.
But Jaden Daniels has had to be the man and figure it out on the fly, and he is
Yes.
just that's the more impressive part of everything with him this year.
Is he the biggest surprise of the NFL season?
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
I think when I saw his first game, the Commanders, I don't know who they were playing, but the Commanders went down big. Um, but then Jaden Daniels started to do some work. He was rushing. I think he rushed for over 100 yards in his first game. I remember this because he put up like big time fantasy points, and I was like, wait a second, something's going on there. He threw for like 2 touchdowns or something like that. And I'm like, well, something's going on. And then they started to win. Now I don't want to say that this team was as like good as what I would say that first year RG3 team was, because I think that first year RG3
Oh
team,
man,
if he was healthy, they were a problem.
that was an exciting team.
Mm-hmm. But it just reminded me of that. So
Absolutely.
definitely the definitely the biggest surprise for me. Who's your
And it was his
MVP?
accuracy
Oh,
too.
oh yeah, it was. He knew how to
That
pass.
was,
Yeah.
and that's the big thing too. Like a young quarterback, usually being able to get through the progressions, the reads, and be able to be that accurate
Mm-hmm.
in this league is so impressive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who's your MVP? It is a lot
My
of talk
MVP.
about this.
Woo!
Who's your MVP? It's down to 3 people, right? For you, I mean, we were on the
Yeah,
same page with that.
it's Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Saquon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I gotta go with
You
Lamar
know who
though.
I have.
I was going
I
with
don't
Josh
know
Allen
if I don't know if you agree or not.
with like 5 games to go in the season. I had Josh Allen, but then the way that Lamar Jackson there towards the end of the season, just like this, his pure stats in total too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like one of the greatest seasons. I mean, he's already had
Yeah.
MVP seasons, and they're better than his MVP season. So that right alone, I don't know how you can't give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know the record isn't there with um, Josh Allen, but I don't think record should be that, you know, impactful. It should be for literally what Lamar did this season, like
Mm-hmm.
it's with his stats.
Yeah.
So I say Lamar. How about you?
I'm going with Lamar. I mean, he has been the MVP from at least the most reasonable time that you can start talking about MVP through the end of the season.
Absolutely.
I do think that this is a regular season stat, but he was kind of balling in the playoffs too. So it's not like he didn't do that. Um, Lamar Jackson and Josh Daniels or Josh Allen. Goodness gracious, I mix up my people. Why do I always do that? I
I don't
mix up
know.
my people so
You're getting
much.
old.
Trevor Booker, remember that?
Yeah, Trevor Booker.
Goodness great, who the hell is that? Anyway, Josh
I don't
Allen
know.
and Lamar Jackson had even stats in almost every single advanced stat except for DVOA. And for those who don't know DVOA is DVOA is a measurement that looks at down and distance and what people are doing to then make it make plays. And so Lamar was way better than Josh Allen in that. So if someone's equal with almost a whole bunch of stats and then boom, I think that's who you got to take for MVP. But I mean, I just think that Lamar Jackson was absolutely phenomenal. His mistakes weren't even his mistakes. And so yeah, just absolutely incredible.
Oh, I totally agree.
Goodness
Getting a
gracious. Who
question
is
over there,
Slipping a
Slip.
Man? Who Slipping a Man sounds like a dynamic duo. I bet they're like Batman and Robin, or maybe even like peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly. Who's peanut butter and who's jelly? Not sure, as I'm more into threat level midnight than sports. If it's a sports thing, maybe they're a legendary team. Ooh. I wonder if the man is one doing all the epic tricks while Slip is just slipping. Hey, yo, what? Tangia
That's
bot is
perfect.
tripping. Anyway,
That's hilarious.
once again, I got to go Lamar. Um, I think that it was his to lose, and he sure as hell didn't lose it. And that's not taking anything away from Josh Allen,
Yep.
but Josh Allen is that dude. But Lamar Jackson I think he was just better.
And when you say Josh Allen had less weapons too this year with the receiving core,
You think Josh Allen had less weapons?
I think so. Zay Flowers and even Bateman, I think, are better than. I mean, Shakir is probably better than Bateman, but like, I don't know. They're probably pretty similar now. I'm thinking about it again.
It's interesting. I'd say they're very similar. The
Yeah.
one big thing, I mean, but they're different in so many different ways, right? Two tight ends that you'd say top 10 tight ends, Kincaid and Mark Andrews. Running backs, Cook is a very good running back.
Yeah.
King Henry is King Henry, but they both do work.
Both found the end zone a
They
lot
just
this
they
year.
do it differently. They do it differently, and it's tough to compare them. You look at their wide receivers, no one that you would say is a top 10 guy in the league.
No.
I wouldn't even say top 15 in the league. But collectively, they do the work that they need to do. Um, One thing that I do commend Josh Allen for is that when he needed to put his body on the line, he did. Um, and the thing is, Lamar Jackson just didn't need to do that because he's just that quick. So
No.
I mean, there's so many ways to compare these teams and these players, and there's so many ways that you can't.
And then there's also, I mean, you said Kincaid and Andrews, but you forgot about Isaiah Likely and Dawson Knox. They had two sets of tight ends that they
You're
could go
damn
for.
right. Good call. Good call.
Yeah. I mean, they're very similar in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, Justin Tucker. He was a bum. He's
Well,
also a bitch.
yeah, we found
You
out
know,
big news today.
it
Well,
just
allegedly.
I didn't say he did anything. I don't have to say allegedly, but I'm gonna say he's a bitch.
True.
So you know what that
Yeah.
means and what I think.
I never liked him anyway.
True.
Boswell's Boswell's better.
Listen, treat women appropriately. Treat women nice. So many men act like they like women, but then they treat them like shit. Treat women okay. Treat women more than okay. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Don't let me get on my soapbox. Anyway, what questions do you have about the NFL season?
What happened to the Cowboys?
They just they they lost talent and then never it didn't replenish, right? They lost who was their running back that they lost? They lost the dude to the Titans. Um, Pollard,
Pollard, yeah, Tony
right?
Pollard.
They lost Pollard to the Titans, and it's not like he balled out for. It's not like he balled out for the Cowboys the year before when he was the number one guy. However, you don't bring back an old ass Ezekiel
Yeah,
Elliott to replace him. So they lost that. Um, they had CeeDee Lamb, and then who else?
yeah. When CeeDee Lamb was hurt all year too. I mean, he was playing through
He
injuries. He
yeah, well,
still
he had to
he was
do
playing his ass off.
everything. He
Exactly,
had
he
to
was
do
playing his ass off.
everything.
He did.
And so like a guy like that really can't take that. I don't think any player can really take that much of the share without getting hurt in some way. There's only so much that you can ask an NFL player to do, and you know,
That's
it
true.
it, it just. And then their defense was cheeks.
Yep.
They had
A
a
defense that
terrible
was actually
defense,
decent
huh?
last year too.
They,
Or that should be better on
what
paper. I mean, they got some names.
this is what I see about the Cowboys defense is that they are extremely opportunistic and they're risk takers. And that's part of the reason why Diggs is so damn good and why he's able to get so many picks and touchdowns. It's also why he gives up so many touchdowns. And so when the balance is off of those things, and you saw the balance off a lot with that, that's when you see the Cowboys go down like they did, and then Dak goes down with a messed up hamstring. Apparently, the hamstring came off the bone. He's out for the season, and then
Yep.
and now they got this guy Brian Schottenheimer, who no one wants as their coach. No one interviewed as their coach. And then they hired the ex Bears head coach Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator. Now, I think Matt Eberflus is generally a good defensive coordinator. That's how he got the Bears job. He also seems to be somewhat of an idiot to where he
I
doesn't
agree.
understand situations. And you may not need situational awareness that as much as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator, but what about what he did as a head coach with the Bears makes you think that it's like, oh yeah, I want that guy in my coaching staff.
Absolutely
Makes no
nothing that I can
sense.
point out. Yeah. Man, McMahon just got fired. I don't know.
You But you know who doesn't have a coach? There's one team in the league who doesn't have a coach. You know who that is?
Saints,
Mm-hmm.
your favorite team.
Now they're supposed to get Kellen Moore after after the Super Bowl because that'll be the last game. No one wanted to coach the Saints.
No.
No one. They are who they are. They need to get the paper bags and put it up over their faces, just like everyone in New Orleans and everyone that roots for that team. That's all I got to say about that.
Another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your rookie of the year? There's probably the two biggest names on there. I said offense. I would say other than Jaden Daniels. We know Jaden Daniels is going to win. I would say out of position players,
Um,
like skill players.
on offense,
Yes.
I mean, if we're not talking Daniels, because he's obviously the
Yeah,
choice.
he's always going to win. But I would say
Um,
as like a receiver slash just skill position player.
so it's interesting because it's between two people that came out of the same
Yep.
college. You got Thomas and you got Neighbors.
Oh, I see. What about Bowers?
Oh, you do have Bowers. Oh, shit. The UGA guy.
Yeah,
The
I was going
UGA
more
guy.
Bowers or Neighbors, but yeah, Thomas too.
Brock Bowers did break some tight end records. He end up leading the league in catches too?
I know he was. I believe so. Him and Neighbors. It was between him and Neighbors, but I think he beat him by a few receptions. If I remember, I'd have to look that up.
So here's the funny thing. I was comparing Neighbors and Thomas, and I was like, who has the worst QB and who did the most work with the worst QB? But out of those people, it was Bowers that did the most work with the most terrible QBs. Hell, the Raiders even started Ritter at one point. And Ritter almost came back on the Falcons. That would have pissed me off if that would have happened. I think I would have thrown my TV out the window. I think,
rookie.
yeah. How did I forget about Brock Bowers? Yeah, I think it
Bowers
might be
actually.
Bowers.
Bowers ended the season with 3 more receptions than Neighbors as rookies.
Once a tight
Had
end.
he had 112 receptions as a tight end.
And led the league, right?
He did not lead the league.
He didn't lead the league.
He was number 3. Moss St. Brown was second with 115, and Jamar Chase was first with 127.
3 off the lead.
That's crazy.
With terrible QBs.
Within 15 receptions. That's amazing. I mean, fantasy owners that had Bowers this year, man, they got a gift.
Mm-hmm. I had him. I had him in one of my leagues.
Yeah.
That league went terrible.
I wanted him.
How come you didn't draft him in our league?
I don't think he was available.
Well, obviously not. But you wanted him. You should have got him.
I wasn't going to draft him that high, though.
What you end up in our league?
Oh, man, like 8th.
You make the playoffs?
No. Missed it by like 12 points.
12 points. Oh, shit. That it did come down to the wire.
Well, no, I did lose. I had to win. And then it was close. Like, I was going to win, and I ended up losing. It was like the Monday night game just totally took me out, and I lost. But CJ, man. Poor CJ.
Poor CJ. Well, at least he doesn't have to send...
He was like 0-6 to start the season.
Yeah, but he didn't finish last. He didn't have to send that picture to Meth Rocks.
That's right. I think we got to get hold of Grumpy Core. Grumpy Core
we sure do.
Last.
Yeah, his team was the struggle bus. He had the Christian McCaffrey league or team. Yeah. 49ers that's a big disappointment.
That's
a team that, of course, made it to the Super Bowl the year before. I think what happened to the 49ers is that that team is so tired of pushing themselves to the limit and then losing that, like, making it to the Super Bowl and then losing is such a killer to a team that it's like it's too tough. It's way too tough. So, like, if you make it to the Super Bowl and win, you can get that energy back. And, I don't have any scientific data that supports this. I just feel like you lose in a Super Bowl, it hurts so much more than how tough it is to win the Super Bowl and then try to make it back again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, in the IU Cole situation, him holding out and then this being absolutely terrible, even though he got hurt, but he was absolutely trash for what he got paid.
He's been trash. I told y'all all the time that Brandon Ayuk was trash, but no one believed me. He had one good year with, you cannot trust these Shanahan number 2 receivers. He will make them look really good.
That's true.
So
I was on a train of adding him as when I wanted this receiver, as for the Steelers.
That's because you just wanted any receiver.
Well, but I would take a name at that point. I'm glad we didn't give him pay money for him.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I want T. Higgins now as the guy I want in free agency. But there's so many other issues that people with Pickens might be gone. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of even like
Yeah.
the owner's already voiced his frustration with Pickens and knowing he has a talent, but he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't truly like shown and like his discipline. And so like
Yeah.
there's just so in the quarterback situation is back to square one again.
Yes.
This year should have been where we figure out who you're going to keep. Is either going to be Fields or Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And it went to the end of the season, and it's still, which one are we going to take? Like it should have been figured out in season. By the
Yep.
end of the season, you should know. Okay, we're going to keep him for
Yep.
at least a couple years. And now it's like, what they don't no idea what's going on. They might not have both of them. Might take Fields, who didn't play since week 6 as a starter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a mess in that situation, which is another reason why it was such a disappointing season because just how the wheels just fell off.
Who do you want?
I mean, I think I would take Fields just because he's still young and still has. I think if you have the line was not good for him this year when he was playing either. The line was still they got a little bit better throughout the season.
Yeah.
So he was really run for his life, but he can actually make things happen if things, Russell Wilson, when he gets pressure on him, he just holds the ball, gets sacked. He just falls down.
Mm-hmm.
At least I know with Fields can at least make things happen. You can do like kind of Lamar type stuff. At least Daniel is kind of get out of situations and just get yards out of nothing. So I think and honestly, I would like to see them tank, to be honest, and try to get a franchise quarterback. So I think you have a better chance of tanking with Fields too. So
I think that's a ridiculous thing to say as a fan.
But I'm tired of it. You're not going to get a franchise quarterback picking 18th to 20th in the draft every year.
I can never wake up in the morning and be like, I want my team to lose. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
There's ways to move up in the draft.
But I'm used to it, Slip. I mean, look at the Pirates. So I mean, and even the Penguins. So
Yeah, I can't get loose. I
can't
get used to losing. I ain't built like that. I hate it. I hate losing.
It ain't for everybody.
I hate losing anything. It could be tic-tac-toe. I hate it.
Yeah,
And so if it's
competitive.
my team, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, there's so many different ways to actually make your team better that doesn't have to do with tanking. One of the reasons why I don't agree with tanking is because it's not a it's not a foolproof way to go. It's not like you're absolutely going to win or get better by tanking. It's still a crapshoot.
Yep. And you
So,
can try to draft a guy and they turn out to be terrible. We've seen so many quarterbacks drafted high and not turn out. I mean, Jaden Daniels, out of all the quarterbacks, looks like Bo Nix looked pretty good this year too.
mm-hmm,
Like he has, potential, of course, but he's also with Sean Payton, who's an offensive mastermind, which he's
mm-hmm,
in a good system. But a lot of times you can still draft high, and it's a lot of it's the just the situation and
yeah,
coaching, the ownership, just everything around it to
mm-hmm,
get a young player set up for success. So
absolutely.
there's a lot of factors that factor
Mm-hmm.
into drafting and them and their progression and development.
Yeah. I mean, if I look at the quarterbacks that got drafted, you look at a Caleb Williams, you look like a Drake May, Michael Penix, old dude in Denver that you just said, as well as Jaden Daniels. I don't think any of them look like they're bad picks.
That's true.
And that's tough to say. That's tough to say. In years past, when you look at the first 5, I don't think they were the first 5 because I think McCarthy, who got injured, was before. Whatever dude. What is that dude in Denver's name again? I can't remember.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. Fuck that guy. Bo Nix. I think McCarthy was drafted before Bo Nix. I can't remember.
I think so.
But you look at those 5 that actually played. When is the last time we had 5 first-round quarterbacks play in their first year and they look like, oh, these could be some players? I don't think that's ever
I
happened.
mean, for five of
Five?
them, I don't think
Five,
five. I
man.
mean, one year that really that's in recent. It's not even recent anymore. It's 20 years ago. Is Big Ben, Rivers, and Eli
Mm-hmm.
Manning. But that's three. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know who else was in that draft of quarterbacks. But
Yeah, we're talking about five, man. That's impressive.
that's.
And
I
it
mean, this
could,
was like historic this year for the first round. Like we're watching the
yes.
draft and we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, and all
Mm-hmm.
these position players and all these players that normally go that high are
Mm-hmm.
slipping down to these teams that we're like, I don't. But it turned out it looked like it could pay off. I mean, like I said, none of
Mm-hmm.
them so far. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still ways to go. We see big regression with C.J. Stroud this year
Mm-hmm.
from what he had, but he still made a playoff, still won his division, even though it was a weak division.
Yeah.
Still, he still did enough, and I think he was playing a little hurt at times too. But I
Mm-hmm.
think, and he had injuries on his receivers, and I think his line wasn't, holding up like he was last year. But I think
Mm-hmm.
he's up for a big rebound year next year. I think he'll be fine. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that is very true. Like this is a historic draft with quarterbacks
I think
so
we're
far.
entering into a new era of really good QBs. I think we are getting into a new era of really good QBs. Um,
Yeah,
and that's exciting to see because there was a little bit of a lull where there weren't, you would say, not even half the league had good QBs.
yep.
At this point, you can say more than half the league have a guy that they feel like can be their franchise guy. And that's cool. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good to see. Now let's
it
talk
is.
about the two teams that look like they going to keep going to the Super Bowl with the defenses that they have or the Superman that they have. Eagles versus Chiefs. Rematch of Super Bowl 57.
Yep.
Am I correct on that
Yep.
57?
2 years ago. Yep.
Um, top of your head, who do you got?
Top of my head. I
See,
hate to
you're
say
waiting
it,
too
but
long. That's not
Chiefs.
top of the
I think
head.
it's Chiefs. I
I got
know, but I
Chiefs
don't want
too.
to say
Top
it.
of the head. I mean, you're going to have to beat them for me to feel like you're going to get them. Now, what's the single most important thing that the Eagles have to do to beat the Chiefs?
Oh, hurt Patrick Mahomes.
That's it. That's the only thing they can do.
No, I'll tell you what the big thing is. Just Saquon Barkley gets the ground running right away, and just the run game really control the clock. And I think as he keeps that what he's done all year, I think that's gonna be tough to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
that's the
feel
big
you.
thing with the Chiefs is keep the ball out of their hands because you know what they can do when they have the foot. But they
Mm-hmm.
also make come up big. Spagnola always has the defensive schemes perfect. It seems like for every team they play, especially in the biggest moments too. So like I'm sure they will be honed in on Barkley because they know that's and Hurts being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that they're going to be relying more on the run. So I'm sure it'll be interesting to see. But I mean Barkley, I think is good enough that he can you know counter that scheme. So we'll see. I mean, that's a big thing. Though, is just gonna be Barkley, honestly, with that, and just the time of possession, and don't turn it over, of course.
Of course. I think going into a game against the Eagles with the game plan to win is stop Saquon Barkley is something where you're going to lose. You can't stop him. You just have to limit him. You
That's right.
cannot stop him. What you can't do is I feel like you can't let Jalen Hurts run on you, and you can't let them get their RPO going. I think those are the two things that they really like to do. Um, you let him do those things because Jalen Hurts is not a very good passer.
No.
Say what you want about the things that you've seen him do. He's not a good passer. Look at the stats. Look at the normal stats that he had this year. Like it hasn't been good. Now there's also been some games where he didn't need to pass, but also there's been games where he's needed to pass and he hasn't been able to get it done. So what I see as the thing that the Philadelphia needs to do to beat the Chiefs is the same way that the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs back in the day. You gotta move them. You gotta have a good pass rush. If you don't have a good pass rush, it's gonna be good night. Okay, that's the only way I see them beating them. And the Eagles have a chance to do that. They're even gonna get Brandon Graham off of the IR. A good pass rusher for them. Jalen Carter. He's a really good interior guy. Nolan Smith has already broken the record for the most sacks in a postseason for the Eagles. So those guys are coming on. You just draft a whole bunch of UGA guys, and apparently you're going to have a great defense. That's what they're going to need to do.
And they've been playing well recently in the playoffs so far. I mean, they've been pretty.
Yeah, they have
been getting pressure.
So we'll see if they're going to be able to do that.
Yep.
But that's what they're going to have to do. Otherwise, I don't know. It's going to be an ass kicking. And that's where I see things going.
I think that's perfectly put, especially on the defensive side too. I mean, that's just how you beat Tom Brady. I mean, the biggest thing, Tom Brady, you got to get pressure on. Don't let him get the ball out of his hands. You got to make sure you try to get that pressure on him. I mean, any of the best quarterbacks, you get their timing, get to them before they can get comfortable.
Absolutely.
But the thing with Mahomes more than Brady, what makes him better is that he's able to, extend with his legs more than Brady could. And I think that's one thing with him. He's able to escape more, and he's better on the run throwing. I mean, he doesn't I think Brady was in the pocket. He needed to be in the pocket, but Mahomes can do it anywhere, which that's why he's so dangerous.
Yep.
So athletic.
I agree. So let me look at the spread. Let me pull up the spread. Okay, there we go. We're gonna pull up the Yahoo spread in the Pick'em league that I missed one week, and otherwise I would have ran away with it. How about that?
How about that?
Oh, they don't have a line yet.
Oh,
we don't have a line.
Early, I guess we're over a week away. So.
Well, that sucks. There's got to be some line.
Let's make up our own line. What do you think the line is?
I think it's 3.5, -3.5 Chiefs.
I think that's a good one. I was gonna say that -2.5 or -3.5 Chiefs. Definitely Chiefs favorites, of course.
You gonna take the spread?
At 3.5. No, I'm gonna say that Chiefs are gonna cover.
Chiefs are gonna cover. I think Chiefs are gonna cover too.
I think it could come down to game-winning field goal. Who knows?
I don't trust this. I don't trust this Eagles team to score enough points. I don't think. I don't trust them to score enough points. The interesting part is we had a really good game the last Super Bowl, and one of the biggest reasons why the Chiefs won is because Jalen Hurts and his turnovers. Other than those turnovers, Jalen Hurts played an excellent game.
Yep.
MVP level type game. I think that the Chiefs are going to be very prepared for him, and they're not going to let him run, which I think is going to be.
He's injured.
Well, that's true too. He is injured, and it's going to hinder the offense. I don't think when Spagnuolo starts turning up those blitzes that Hurts is going to be able to do enough to pass enough on the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think that the Chiefs are just going to be able to do their work when they need to. As well as the Chiefs is the best team in 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, no matter what the score is.
I think it's going to be Chiefs by a touchdown.
Chiefs by a touchdown. Wow. Okay. I'm just gonna go with they're gonna cover the spread. The spread that we create. I'm not gonna go that far. That's not wise for me. But that's what I see happening there. All right. So let's move on to some MLB news.
Oh, it's exciting news.
It is. It is. They just released the first ever um, three cover athlete game. They got Paul Skeens, they got Ellie De La Cruz, and then they got Gunnar Henderson. Both great young men. I think are going to be great faces of the league in their own right. And I think it's exciting, man. I think it's super exciting. It's the game is looking like it's going to be only on new gen. With that's exciting too. I don't know what they're going to do with the engine. I don't know what's going to change with the game. Of course, people always want changes here and changes there, but if you look at the way the game has played over the past, I'd say past 2 or 3 years, it plays excellently. I think people complain about some small things and forget that it's a video game, but it's an excellent game. I think the thing that has been the shortcoming within these past few MLB The Shows has been the way that they've released the content.
Yeah, content for sure has been the biggest disappointment because gameplay is, I think, amazing.
The game play has been really good. It's been really good for a long time, and so they don't have to change that much. I think they're, you're always going to add stuff. You're always going to try to make it more realistic. So like, of course it's going to change, but they don't need to change much. But they do need to change the way that they release the content, and they got to get new people. Like I think that's one of the frustrating things that has made me limit how much I have played that game is because it's like I'm tired of just getting the same guys. And I think I've talked about this last year. I don't need those like top Hall of Fame guys all throughout. I want some of those like low level, not mid level, memorable guys.
Yeah,
Give me a Rafael Furcal. People always call him for Julio Franco. Give me a Brian Giles.
yeah,
Give me some brothers program or something like that. Some shit like that. Get some new guys in here so we can play with them. And there's so many names that we can go through, and that's what I want to see. I want to see fresh names, and that doesn't mean you got to get big names.
Yeah, and I think and I mentioned it, I think the other day, and I think it was in Discord we were like discussing after all the news came out, and just like with like the Bonds right now is doing a lot more autographs and the tops, so that's already a sign of like maybe the people putting rumors out there for him to be in possibly be in the game because all the stuff he's doing with cards and everything. But all just doing a steroid era, like kind of concentrating on the steroid era, like it's literally one of the most exciting times of baseball.
MLB's not, the MLB's not going to allow that to happen.
I mean, they've already had Mark McGwire and Sosa, though.
Well, but they're not going to do a focus on the steroid era.
I'm not going to say. I should rephrase that. I mean, have more players in from it, not only, but like bring more from that era.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great era. It's a great, the 2000s was a fun ass time in baseball. The only thing that sucked was the Cardinals winning so many damn championships.
Yeah, I know.
They were always a boring team to me. Pujols was always fun, but boring team in general. But
always had great defense and pitching.
But there's so many ways that they can revamp this. I think I'd also love to see, a way to still get some variation within teams that you may play against. Whether it's in ranked or even events. Events does a good job of mixing those those players, and the team builds up, and so that's good. But take that to ranked season as well. And the thing that I really liked about MLB The Show in 20 was the way that things were built up. I think I need to see a power creep, because I'm a full game of baseball player. I'm not just a home run player, and that is one thing that MLB The Show feels like it has turned to just a little bit, is that it's turned into a little bit of too much focus on home runs. Like, I want to see doubles, I want to see triples, I want to see baseball. I want to see maybe even a little bit of small ball. And you can play that in MLB The Show, but I think sometimes you look at the stats of your player and their home runs are going to outweigh the doubles, because hits that would technically be doubles in real life have turned into home runs. And whatever, it's a video game, but that's what I like to see. I want to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I mean, because it's like boom or bust. It's almost like not hitting home runs. But then, there is, of course, the bunt cheesers out there. We all know, we all see that, if you bring in
Fuck a bunt
too much
cheeser.
bunting. Yeah, I mean, they're the worst kind of people. I mean, the ones that do the bunt dancing, all of them. I mean, they just are doing this to piss people off. But
one thing that I've learned, I used to get angry at the bunt dancers and the bunt cheesers back in 2021. But I've learned, they aren't going to beat me that way. I know how to adjust. They're going to have to do something different. Those kind of people are not going to beat me. And so, I'm not going to stress over it. I'm not going to worry about it. I think that they're idiots and whatever. But it is annoying. I'm not going to say that it's not annoying, and I'm not annoyed when they do it, but I'm not going to let it affect me, because it's easy to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think there need to be more modes in the game too. Like Justin brought up a good point too. There need to be. I feel like every year there's not. I mean, they've had co-op, they've added, which has been a great addition. But I feel like they just need something else. For the longest time, it's been the same mode. Like, bring in more of an exciting mode, just something different.
Yeah.
I mean, just be creative. I mean, I'm pretty much down with a lot of things they could do. I mean, with co-op, I always envisioned. We love pro clubs. We love. I love EASHL in hockey.
Yes.
Now, if there's a way that they could do a player lock, like you have a team and you can actually be, it'd be kind of tough. I don't know how that would be.
I think co-op's good the way it is.
It is the way it is.
The way the co-op is set up, I don't want to be player locked. I don't know. I play softball, man.
Though,
that's what I get that.
Have the my player, Road to the Show, and being able to use your Road to the Show player in as a my player kind of thing. I think having more of that, not just be locked in offline, be able to. I know they used to have them with a creative player. You could use them on Diamond Dynasty, which I didn't like that, but at least have it a separate mode that you can kind of bring them online, and it might not be a full team, but you at least have certain positions. I don't know. I just always would love that. I mean, just being a big pro clubs and team player within those sports games.
I hear you. I just think in this game the co-op is the best that it's going to be.
Co-op's already enough.
When it comes to the amount of fun that you have, and when you play a game, you want to be in it. There is a lot of waiting around in baseball. So in terms of the video game, I don't know. I don't think it would be. I don't think it would work.
You got a good point.
And you'd have to get everybody together. Think how tough it is to get people up for pro clubs.
True.
People thinking that they're strikers when they need to be left backs, shit like that.
Rafters.
You know what I'm saying? That's where they need to go. Shout out to him. I guess. Why are you shouting at that man?
I'm just saying it.
You get in. We have airway space. And you devote a little bit to that, man.
Hey, it was a funny time. About laughed my ass off that night.
At least we aren't going to devote any airtime to people that get upset when a perfect goes foul. Shout out to the softs in the chat, huh?
Amen.
Go ahead and spam that emote if you know what I'm talking about.
I would like to see though within like an also like an actual like Diamond Dynasty mode like Justin brought up. It'd be like
Mm-hmm.
so we've kind of talked about how Madden, we've done FIFA, we've done like the weekend league aspect. Have a little more. I don't know. You have a division somehow, like a division, a ladder or
Mm-hmm.
something to get something where it's just not. I mean, I know you go to World Series, but maybe make it more. I don't know. Then you can be like within. I don't know. I guess it is like that in World Series in ranked seasons, but I don't know. Just make it at least some kind of additional where there's a little more
Mm-hmm.
chance for rewards by playing online. I guess maybe in that sense, and just make it more incentive.
Yeah, I think there's a way to, and I say that there's a way, and I don't know that damn way, but I think players at each talent level want a little bit of a remake of ranked season so that you can play at the level that you're at.
Yeah.
Because, even the top players, they're like, you know, and not even top players, just World Series players. They get to World Series and they're like, "Fuck, I don't want to play this. It's on Legend," and I get that. Um, so I think there's going to be a handful of things that they can do. I can't wait to see what they do change. I'm curious if they're going to start changing a little bit of things in the pitching. I think that would be exciting. Make two seamers great again. Like I feel like two seamers are just not that usable. And so if there's a way to make those a little bit more usable, make somehow, there's certain pitcher builds that become the meta, and there's always going to be a meta. But if you're able to find a way to make any pitcher effective for what they are, I said I don't like this, but if there's like an arch type of, a sinker baller or, a power pitcher or things like that, where you have to play to their strengths for them to be the most effective, that would be fantastic. Instead, you get these same kind of things where it's just like pitching seems redundant for everybody, and there's not really a stylistic way that it can change
Yeah, I mean, and we
when you
know
go
how
pitcher to
lethal
pitcher.
to absolutely. We know how being IRL, and I know Voz
Mm-hmm.
can test it too, especially playing at a high level.
Yeah.
We played at collegiate level. We know how like two seamers are a lethal pitch. When you have the
Yes.
movement on that two seamer,
Yes.
I mean that's like the one pitch. I agree with you that needs to be adjusted where it actually
Absolutely.
is effective in
Mm-hmm.
the show because that I mean and almost some pitchers we don't even use. We look at the repertoire like they don't have
Yeah.
what we need because I mean it's not the meta of course, but like that two seamer could be so lethal, especially because you have it going one way and you have a slider you go to the
Mm-hmm.
other side. I mean there's just so many strategies you can do
Mm-hmm.
with pitching with it as well. So
Yeah.
that would be nice. Hopefully. Maybe that's the thing they maybe need with new engine. Maybe that hopefully with like a next gen engine, hopefully that we're getting, that will be
Yeah.
something where they can actually tweak those types of things. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. I mean, it's still to come,
Yes.
but it's exciting. The reason it's looking that way, but
Absolutely.
the one thing that does scare me a little bit, it's still on the Switch, but hopefully that's going to be kind of like a separate. Just they have their own type of whatever over
Well, there's
there.
only
And
so much of an engine that that the Switch is going to be able to do. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
they're
think
going to
it's
have
going to
their
mess
own
with
thing.
anybody. I think people are overreacting. Oh, the Switch is still going to have it, and not the old generations. And get over it. You ain't even playing on the Switch, so move on.
I am.
I
Right,
tried.
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I
The
can
the,
do it on
the
the
lag,
OLED.
man.
Yeah, it's
The
tough.
lag is tough.
The OLED is a lot better just because you at least have a little bigger screen and better visuals, and I think the wasn't as much
Hmm.
lag, but still, it's not
Yeah,
a fun
I don't have the
experience.
OLED. I ain't got money like you.
No, yeah, that's all right. We can all be ballers.
Oh, goodness gracious, man. Well, we're just about out of time here. You got any last thoughts about anything? I'm acting like I'm a therapist. I feel like I just
Any last
therapized you.
thoughts? I mean, I in general, I just want at least for the Pirates, I want them to do something. That's for sure for my team. They're out here just they got one of the better rotations in baseball, and they're
Hmm.
not. And I mean, how about that? They put a survey out yesterday. Did you see that survey?
I
I
did see
put
the
that
survey.
on social media and I actually took it. I put negative
I,
for everything. I didn't care. Everything strongly
it,
disagree. Everything.
they put out a survey. If you don't know, that do you feel like, and one of the questions was, do you feel like the Pirates organization are trying to win? Essentially, I couldn't remember the exact phrasing,
That's
and
about
it's
right.
like, no. Why are you going to send out a question where you know that you're going to get a terrible answer to? You're not going to get the results that you think. Like what was this? That was the nut man thinking that he was going to get some good answer?
I mean, I have no idea what that's a good. They already had all the Pirate Fest fiasco where they had they didn't even spell McCutcheon's name right. They asked Paul Skeens about his extension talks, and he's like, it's all this terrible. And then even like we're going after
Mm-hmm.
the upper management, and Nutting's out here saying he's doing trying to win. He wants to win. It's like, well, at least you have to actually prove it. You can't just say it. Obviously, I mean
Yeah.
we all know we've been here, we've been around the block,
Mm-hmm.
but. It's pretty sad when McCutcheon is your highest paid free or signing this offseason so far.
Yeah, this ain't
$5 million.
2012. This ain't
$5
2012.
million is our big signing this year. It's
This ain't
embarrassing.
2012. Goodness gracious, man. But
Not
this
at
has
all.
been great. This has been fun. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Of course, it's going to be put up on the podcast. But this has been Slipping the Man, where we give you our thoughts, opinions, facts, judgments, takes, and bakes, I guess. Y'all be good. Until next time, we'll definitely get into our MLB preview. But until then, y'all always know, don't slip.
Don't slip.